One of the reasons we're doing this too is we're recording this so that we can, uh, if other people want to see this presentation, we'll have it up for them. So that's kind of we're very sensitive to entrepreneurs and their time. As when we do this in the middle of the day, it's often not good, not convenient. We had actually several people say they couldn't make it because of conflicts of time. They're much better doing these types of things at midnight, which I have to admit, I'm kind of that way too. So we'll get started here in just a second. So that's Debbie and Greg. Um, and, and Jamari Jones, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind? Yeah, Jamari, do you, you're still muted? Let me go to James. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I don't know if you can hear me, Mr. Handler.
I can.
Oh,
Yes.
my name is Mario. Um, I'm a small business owner. The name of my business is All Things Honorable, and essentially it is a balloon and customized gift shop.
Oh yeah. What's the address?
Yes,
What is?
currently,
Is breaking up for you?
and I need to.
Yeah. Can you do it one more time? You were kind of breaking up there, or put it in the chat.
I'm sorry.
It may be
But I
easier.
am.
You you may put it yeah, put it in the chat because you're kind of breaking up. Okay. Okay. And James, can you put in the chat where you're from or what building you're with? And while I'm waiting on James, welcome Amina. Amina is the building owner on 79th Street. Was that 501? The barber shop, the barber college.
Yeah, part of it, 701 through 707, East 79th Street for the Larry's Barber College is a part of the building.
Mm-hmm. Well, welcome. You're in the corridor.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's get started. I think we got everybody, and Joe G is 95 STA is Joe G. He's got a building on 79th Street also. Okay, so we'll get started here. This is we're the Greater Chatham Initiative. We're going to talk today about the Commercial Corridor Storefront Activation Program. It's a brand new program, just came out. But I'm going to start talking about some other development grants from the city to give you a reference point of reference point about this new program, how it compares to the old programs. So our agenda is a little background on us, all the different city grants that are currently available, typical eligibilities, and then the CCSA, Commercial Corridor Storefront Activation Program, and then we'll go into some details and about the applications, and then we'll open up for Q&A. So I'm going to move pretty quickly. What I like to do is get to the end and open up for questions. Um, so that's kind of my agenda. My name is John Handler. I'm with the Greater Chatham Initiative. Um, I've been here since 2019, my seventh year. I have a background in 25 years of owning and operating restaurants and coffee shops. I have an engineering degree in factory automation, and I've done a lot of work with private equity, venture capital, and I've spent 3 years in Africa. Um, our organization, the Greater Chatham Initiative, is celebrating our 10th anniversary this year. In 2014, there was a prominent woman who was a stray bullet went into our real estate store office and killed a pretty prominent woman. And so for the next 2 years, an effort was put together of 250 individuals and institutions in 5 different working groups to create the plan. And that's a comprehensive plan for economic growth and neighborhood vitality. There's kind of 4 pillars to that: residential assistance, public safety, business development, and workforce development. And I kind of take care of the last 2, which is kind of what we're talking about today as part of our business development efforts. We're also the ones that put together Mahalia Jackson Court on the corner of 79th and State. We also were responsible for getting declared designation as Mahalia's Mile, 79th Street from State to Cottage Grove is one of 10 designated districts in the state. We did all that. We 5 years ago started Food Lab. We just started Food Lab 7.0. With 7.0, we have taught in our cohorts. We have run 115 Black or Hispanic owned restaurants through our program, teaching them how to do a more profitable program, more profitable restaurant. Back to access to capital. In the last 5 years, we have assisted with 188 applications for a total value of $37 million, of which almost half of them hit for about 10 million. So you may be familiar with the CDG, which is a Community Development Grant, or the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund you may have heard of, or the SPIF. They're similar, and this 4th opportunity I'm sharing with you today is kind of a takeoff of the NOF program. The NOF program is you get up to $250,000 of 75% reimbursed, but it's focused on certain corridors. And that's what you see, these blue lines and red lines. And it used to be, was once called kind of the Invest Southwest corridors. They kind of, Lightfoot kind of took off on it. But it actually is NOF. And then so the NOF is on these certain corridors. You see all these blue and red lines. And then there's another similar product called the Community Development Grants, which is basically is not by corridors for the whole city of Chicago. So you can imagine pretty competitive for the NOF grants. But the community development grants, which is the whole city, is a lot more competitive because everyone in the city can compete for it. All right. Now, SPIF is a different product. SPIF is a different product. Here, there's 85 TIF districts around the city, where every month they collect from your property taxes, from the businesses' property taxes, a little bit that goes into the pot, and then every 2 years that pot is made available for application, and that's what at Pride Cleaners. That's what Jimmy had received. He had gotten spiff money. That's 150,000, but it's 90% reimbursed. Now the program today I'm sharing with you is a commercial corridor storefront activation program. And what this is, there's 12 corridors around the city. And we are the one down here. The 79th Street one is down here where my, actually here, see my arrow now? There we are. Down there. And it runs.
Excuse me, John.
Yes. Uh-huh.
I'm not sure if you're sharing your screen. I can't see it on my side if you're sharing your screen.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Now I
you
see it
should be able
now.
to see
It's
it.
like another link. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, is it coming to you now? Yeah. You should be seeing it. Okay. So this grant, 79th and Vernon, 79th Street from Vernon to Cottage Grove. And Vernon's like 433, I think. East. Um, is so this grant is specific to this corridor. And way is set up that we're actually, you saw back here, there's 11 other see here's Greater Chatham down here, and there's 11 other corridors around the city. And so we are in charge of the 79th Street corridor right here. 11 other people are in charge of some other areas. And Joe G, actually, you could see your 95th Street property would be down here on at this place with these people. Okay. So we are the corridor leads for this one corridor. So what's different about this and the NOF is that there's corridor leads. We are one of them, as I just said. And what we are designed to do as a corridor lead is to provide more wraparound services, provide more access to assistance to do your applications, do your projects, and then also if you become a grantee, to help execute your projects and such. There's Allies for Community Business over in Garfield Park. I think most people know. Allies for, it used to be called Axion, but if you don't know them, you should know them. And please reach out to me, and I'll set you up with them. They have lots of different financing programs, and in this program, the CCSA program, they're actually program administrators for this program. And actually, once you kind of selected, then they actually help you quite a bit with financing and other program ideas. Okay, so timeline for this program, it just opened. It just opened now. Now we're almost here, May 1st. Sorry for my mouse, not getting it to move right. Yeah, so we have a May 15th first application deadline, and then by the summer, in 8 or 10 weeks, you should have an announcement of who the grantees are, and then start construction in the summer, and then move from there. But if you miss the applications, much like the NOF, are kind of rolling application, and so you miss May 15th, then you could apply on August 15th. It's 4 times a year. Okay. So So let's get into particulars. Okay, so what we're talking about, what does 75% reimbursement mean? What that means, what is 75% reimbursement? What that means is looking at the total eligible project costs, the city will reimburse you 75% of that cost. So then you're responsible for 25% of that. For example, to get the top out at the maximum, and these are grants, not loans, at 300,000 would mean that you'd have to have a project cost or spend 400,000 on your project. And as it goes along, the city would pay 75% of the invoices, you'd pay 25% of the invoices. So for every dollar you put in, the city is giving you 3. So not too bad. What are some eligible expenses? Now these are capital grants. Basically these are grants for leasehold improvements. These are not working capital grants. So what you could use this for is renovations actually it's for acquisition, which means help buying the building. Matter of fact, you could 25% of your grant could go towards purchasing your building. But then roofing, all the leasehold improvements. And the point is that if your business was to fail, then the next person you would still benefit from the investment. Whereas if the city paid for a refrigerator or a stove or furniture, fixtures, if your business failed, you'd take it out the back door and head to Schaumburg. So they're keeping the investment in the city here, in this property. And so I'll just read this real quick. So it's small business grants, the technical support services available exclusively to businesses and property owners within that corridor I shared with you. The program is intended to be limited in its restrictions to allow each corridor to be creative and personalized in its long-range small business development plan, which is what the city put together a $30 million pot to go in these 12 different corridors to try some new things. So they're eager to be creative. Some of the eligible grant funds could go towards renovating a commercial space, including to attract. You could do a vanilla box and then attract new small business tenants. Where SPIF and NOF, you actually have to have a signed lease with somebody to do that, or renovate, existing small businesses, or they're always talking about facade improvements because they just want that street appeal. So that's a big deal. Ineligible projects, you get what happens is you get a conditional award letter. So everything done before that award letter is not eligible for repayment. And also, but different in this grant than other grants is that you would think of it as actually being stackable. What happens is if you have a SPIF grant and you complete that SPIF grant for 150,000, you historically would have to wait 3 years to get more money from the city. In this program, you could turn around as soon as the last grant is finished and signed off. You could apply again to do more money. So it is stackable in that way. The other big deal with this, well, I'll get into that in a minute. But going down to the ineligible products, it can't be anything to do with home businesses or residential. It's not for operational expenses, as I said. And then the scope of work, it's funded through the DPD. but also, the construction it won't, as I said, it won't reimburse you for work you've done already. And then they give a whole list of particular, currency exchange, fortune telling. Now here's kind of different. You could do liquor taverns and bars, but they have to be open more than 2 years. So they won't fund a new bar startup. Hotels and motels, they won't fund adult uses, all the typical stuff. Gas stations, schools, elementary schools. Okay. So how are we doing for time here? Let me keep running through here quickly. So there's four kind of elements. This application: there's financial readiness, project feasibility, business readiness, and community impact. Financial readiness is basically, figuring out how much this is going to cost, and do you have that 25%? See, this is different too. They're looking for 25%. Your money, historically, has been more like 50% to kind of juice the skids here. And then project feasibility is, can you pull this off? Do you have architectural drawings? Do you have everything you need to support and execute this project? So you figured out in the first one, how much is going to cost. And
Yeah, I
then
did already, but I'll resend again. It should be on the BOLs, right?
And so the second part here is that you have the capabilities. Everything sounds great, but if you're not really capable of doing this project, then that's a problem. They're looking, I don't have to tell you the history and the failure rate of a lot of these programs. Number three is a business readiness. Are you profitable? What are you doing? They don't want to give somebody, everything sounds great, but if you're not running a good business, and your tax return will show that, then that's not a very strong application. And then the last one, and this is pretty important, is community impact. They're actually looking for letters of support from the community, letters of support from us, the coordinator, the corridor directors, from the alderman's office and other elected officials. But as many letters of support are really important here. So in review, these four items: financial readiness, project feasibility, business readiness, community impact. In other words, you can think of it this way. Basically, do you have site control? Super important. You really pretty much have to own your building. Do you have architectural drawings enough for you to get bids that are apples to apples? And are the bids proving that realistic project costs, providing, sorry, it's misspelled, providing a realistic project costs? And then how are you going to be funding that 25%? Once you get past that, then is a business needed and competitive? Is a business sustainable? Because as I said earlier, the city didn't want to invest in something that's going to go bankrupt in a year's time. And then how is it, particularly what we're doing here with the corridor, how does it fit into the area plan? And then lastly, again, community impact, not just services, but will you be creating new jobs? Are you, like a restaurant, are you bringing people to the neighborhood to benefit other businesses? And so here's a good example of renderings and architectural drawings. So when the city sees this, as I'm displaying, you have a strong sense that these people know what they're doing. This would be a good investment for the city, and such. And so applications are evaluated on strength. There's no right or wrong answers. It's just the strength of your application in those four areas I talked about earlier. This is a rolling application window, as I described earlier. The next cutoff is 5 p.m. on Friday, May 15th. And I would kind of recommend you apply, but that's okay if you don't get accepted, you can apply again August in 3 months with a more complete application. But also if you miss that May 15th date, it's no big deal. You know, there's another opportunity in 3 months to file again, and then 3 months after that, November 13th, for the next time. So now I want to run through the application because I'm trying to leave time for questions. So the application is split up in initial eligibility, applicant information, business information, project information, and then some other demographics ideas. If you go to this website, chicago.gov CCSA, that will take you to the commercial corridor storefront activation program. And in the middle of the page there, you'll see there's a apply now button. And if you do have any questions, just put them down in the chat box. And Dion's here with me to take care of that. Yeah, so Dion's reaching out to you all in the chat box if you could give him your name and your business. So back on the CCSA web page, it's only one page. You hit the apply now, and that will take you to submittable. So those of you who have dealt with the city grants before, you're very familiar with submittable. Everything's done online through submittable. When you hit that button and go into submittable, this will pop up. This is submittable, and you'll see the grants right there, commercial activation, and you hit the button to continue. If you don't already have a sign-in for submittable, they'll ask you to register, and that's pretty painless. And so your first page is welcome to the Corridor Activation Grant application. And so I want to point out, you see this blue arrow, it's pointing to the manage collaborators. And so you should put in, so you should put into, you should, while you're there, put us in as, or my email in as a collaborator on your project, which means that I could go in and help you with your project. I can't submit it, but I could see what you've written and help you fill in, collaborate on your project. So it's good to just, go ahead and put up my name in there. Then the first question they'll ask is what corridor you are. You're on the Chatham 79th. And are you currently working with a CCSA corridor lead? Yes, you'll see Greater Chatham Initiative. That's us. Okay. And then they'll ask for a NASCII code. You can look that up or look on your tax return. They'll look for some background on your business. Well, actually, what they want you to do is give them a copy of your bank account statement that provides some legitimacy for them. Also, they know where to send the money. So you kind of want to make sure you have a business account and things of that nature. That's why they're doing that. And then part of the business readiness, they want to see if you have a business plan or strategic plan. And if you're in business less than 1 year, you'll have to definitely have a business plan to prove that you have a good good idea for your business. And what I'm doing, I'm just hitting on, there's like 95 questions. I'm on number 52 already. So I'm trying to hit on just the bigger questions, not fill in the blank stuff. And so they want to know about there's a 250 word up to 250 to talk about your physical site conditions, how big it is, what condition it's in, up to 5 pictures. We also, it was probably a good place to throw in renderings and architectural drawings. along with a couple pictures. But note that there is a limit. And then they're looking for a 400 up to 400 word discussion about your vision and concept for your project. Then they're asking you about the timeline for doing different stages: feasibility, finance, site acquisition. You know, as you go down, there's a bunch more lines that you need to provide them kind of a timeline. They're particularly interested in shovel-ready projects. So if you're got your permits and all this, you're in a lot better shape. It makes for a lot stronger application. Here it's kind of the cost backups that we talked about in the beginning. All the cost estimates they like to see from 2 contractors, architects, all other costs with the program. What your anticipated project costs and how much money you're asking for, which would be up to 75% if you call earlier. And then here's a budget table that puts together all those, total project costs, how much each in roofing, walls, floors. And it's kind of important to get this put together, because this is actually when they set you up with their awards letter, this is what they'll reference. It's always kind of flexible, but at least it gets a start that we're thinking that 50,000 for a roof, this much for the walls. And then the next question on 77th question would be, how much of funding have you secured? The next question is, well, is it, how does this funding look like? What's this funding look like? Is it a loan? Is it equity? Is it some subsidy? Then upload any financial documents to support everything you just talked about. Long-term loan sheets, things of that nature. And then this is up to 1,500 word the discussion about how your project will impact the community. So again, you have to think of it that way. How is this impact going to impact my community, and particularly that the 79th Street corridor. So this you really have to dig, and this is where we work with you and help you kind of flush that out. But this is very important. They want to know, why they should invest in you. How is it going to help the community? Including here what community support. I have a letter from the alderman. I taught, my church, various other businesses, everything. This is pretty important to get these. You can see they're asking these questions, including here, upload any letters of support. Any letters of support from the community. So here you could upload, that's where you upload all those letters and such. So you can see they're really focused on contributions to the community and in particular this corridor. And that's where you need to work with us, because we have put together corridor ideas. And matter of fact, we do want to, we will reach out soon to all of you that we want you to join kind of a community board, advisory board for us. So that we're coming up with ideas. We want you the business owners and property owners. We want your input and how we should be doing all this, or what's important to you, not just us. So we'll reach out in the future to invite you into our advisory board, our corridor advisory board. So keep an eye out for that. And my point is, please join that and join in on the conversation. You could influence the outcomes of what we're trying to accomplish. And then there's a last little 86, question 86 is about document comments. This is a place not to load any extra documents, but to talk about if there's something about one document name doesn't match, your tax return doesn't match something, your bank account. It's kind of like, well, here's a place to explain the symmetry and such. Okay, and then there's a section on demographics graphic questions. The big point here is this is just for reporting purposes and is not used to review. Matter of fact, the decision makers don't even see this. This information is hidden from the reviewers. So you can prefer you can choose to opt out. So there's really no downside to this. But the point is that they just like to kind of understand for reporting purposes, it does not impact whether you get money or not. So again, in summary, it's kind of four big parts: financial readiness. Can you do the project? Is your business a good business? And I keep harping on community impact. And then the last button on submittable is the submit button. And so you can save, you can input stuff along the way and save the drafts. And that's where this collaboration, back in that first page, we could help you collaborate with you on this, save it as a draft, and come back to it. And then in the end, this is how you submit. Hit the button to submit. Almost done, and we'll open for questions. Back on again, the essence of this is having is described as strength of your application. So if you've done all those fundamentals, the four fundamentals, you'll have a strong application. The window, and as we discussed, is a rolling application window. The next window, the next cutoff is Friday, May 15th. And please note is 5 p.m. NOF and SPIF are midnight. So make a note that this is different and such. Okay. And so I am John Handler. My colleague Jeremy Jacobson. This is our contact information here. So I'd like to do now is open up to questions and see how we got. I left a fair amount of time for questions. 20 minutes. Yep. What do we got?
Yep. 95 Stir said, does 135 West 95th Street, Chicago, Illinois fall into this program?
So that goes back to the corridors. It does not fall into our corridor. Sorry for this. It does not fall into the greater Chatham 79th Street corridor, but if this is 95th Street, down at the bottom here. So it may fall into one of the other corridors.
To add on also was, does 9625 South Colfax fall into this program? 9625 South Colfax.
We'll have to because you know who that came from.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you yeah, we could look it up and let you know if it does or not. But we're just kind of focused on 79th Street for this presentation. And in case you didn't hear that question, is 9625 South Colfax fall into this program?
But they can't. This is hi, beautiful people. Happy Friday to you guys. Another question that was asked in the chat is from Greg. Is there a limit that can be used for purchase of a building?
Yes. The question from Greg is there a limit on acquisition? And the answer is yes, up to 25% of the grant. So the grant's 300,000. That means that 25% of that is 175, right? Yeah. My math is right. 75,000. Excuse me, $75,000 can go towards acquisition of the property.
There you go. Greg also wrote, my building is currently vacant. Can I use the money to renovate to get it ready for a new building, business owner, or tenant?
Yes. That's what's, and let me just make a comment again. This is a brand new program, and it literally is building the plane as it's flying. And so our understanding is that you don't, historically with SPIF and NOF, you have to have a signed lease for who's going to go in that building. And they don't really give you all your money until that person's in there and licensed. But this is we would call that vanilla boxing it, so that you can build out in anticipation for somebody else. But that's one of the key points differences in this program.
Okay. I see your follow-up question, Greg, too. I'm gonna ask it. But we got it from 95th Street. I believe that's his name. 95th Street says, does daycares fall in this program?
Does 95th Street fall?
No, that's 95th is the name of the person.
Oh yeah, but what?
Does daycares fall in this program?
We'll have to look. We look back at the because daycare doesn't fall into some of the other programs. Yeah, it's K to 12. We'll have to Joe G, have to get back to you on that to confirm.
Yep. And Greg follow-up question was, do contractors need to be in a union or just licensed and certified in the city?
Good question. And the answer to that question is they do not have to go by prevailing wage rules, which is basically unionized stuff. Typically in the city, and I'll just throw highlight this. In the city of Chicago, why you always see this $250,000 cutoff is that any project, anything greater than $250,000 has to get approved by city council. And so most of these programs like NOF and all, you see there's a $250,000 cap, and that's because anything less than 250 doesn't have to go through city council. Uh, uh, um, City council, and the big deal is when it does go through city council, then what happens is you have to pay prevailing wages, which is like adds about 40% or more to the cost of your project. For example, prevailing wage for a carpenter in the city is $56 an hour, plus I think another $20 of benefits. So you're paying carpenters $70 an hour for your to work on your project. So this is kind of kept below it by the mix of funding. So actually it's 300,000, but this doesn't have to go to the city council. Does that answer, Greg, your question?
Yes. So
Okay.
just basically, as long as they're certified and licensed in the city, we're good.
Yep, they do have to be certified and licensed to the city,
Of course.
not just day labor picked up on the corner.
Right. Great. Perfect.
Yeah, so this has been pretty good. We're really excited about this program, because it kind of gives a little more than the 250 we typically see. It's 300,000. The other thing I didn't talk about is a reimbursement. So they want you to have that 25% ready to go in day one. But then they are actually looking at doing almost monthly reimbursements. Where typically it's kind of milestones. So it's typically 2 or 3, basically typically it's your rough in milestone, then you get reimbursed, and then your final milestone reimbursed, and then, last 10% or something once it's all done. But they've gone out of the way, and this is where Allies Capital comes in, that they're actually trying to make it such that they could actually pay invoices along the way. So as long as you're heading towards a milestone, they will actually pay you midship of the milestones. So that helps a lot with the financing, right? Right, Amelia? We're trying to go through all this with SPIF now, because with SPIF, you basically have to do the whole project, get it signed off, then they write you a check, which means you have to go finance 100%. So this is a pretty special what they're doing. Next question.
Next question is from 95th. Can the building owner and the general contractors be the same?
Yeah, the answer to that is yes. The building owner, if as long as you have a GC license, and you can do that. I would highly recommend kind of showing that you're kind of doing it at arm's length. Would be helpful. But that can happen. Okay. So I am told that was it for questions. So let's see. So we talked about the other big difference when you do a SPIF grant, there's a net worth test. And so we had several people who got SPIF grants that had there's a net worth test. And a lot of people got disqualified because they had too many assets. There is no net worth test in this program. So we expect a lot more people to participate where they couldn't participate in the SPIF ideas we had. So we talked about the net worth. We talked about as I said, historically, typically the first three, the CDG and NOF and SPIF, once you did that program and finished, you couldn't apply again to anything from the city for 3 years. This is special in that as long as you finish your SPIF or finish your NOF, then you could apply straight away. You don't have to wait 3 years. Now, given you had money and gotten money, that they may be, maybe not so quite so strong because you've already gotten money, but at least you can, and so things work out right. And of course, you can't if you got SPIF to pay for a new roof, you can't have CCSA pay for a new roof also. Has to be a different scope of a project. Okay. So what? So we are here, and so we're looking at a new and good ways of how to execute these types of programs. When I joined GCI in 2019, we were one of the leaders in NOF. It actually is called Retail Thrive beginning, then it changed to NOF, Neighborhood Opportunity Fund. But when I joined in 2019, there were $62 million of NOF money, put out there, or you call it today finalists. And out of the $62 million, only 2 million were executed. That basically it totally didn't work. 62 million of commitments to people and only 2 million got executed. So over the years, that's why there's so much more particular. You really have to own your property. That was a big issue back then. Site control, over it takes 6 or 8 months for a lot of this to go through. And in the meantime, a building got sold to somebody else. Other things are happening and such. So we're pleased to report that the city doing much better. And then we see this as this program is even taking it to another level and such. So I believe I think we're coming up to our end of our session. If nobody else has any more questions, we'll close out. What I would do, because everyone registered to get in. What we'll do, we'll email out to you this presentation along with, I have a paper copy, a PDF of the application. Now, as I said earlier, the application is totally online, but it's pretty helpful to see the questions and you can write in the paper kind of all your notes and things you come up with and such. So I'll send that out off to everybody too. Okay, so with that, we'll give you back a couple minutes of your afternoon and appreciate you joining us.
John, thank you very much. It was very, very informative. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, our pleasure. This is one of our major roles is to we call it access to capital. It's kind of like, the people with the money and the people who need the money. We're kind of the people in the middle trying to line that up. And this is a perfect example of that. City's got money. You businesses and property owners need the money. And this is a great example. And we do these kind of webinars to make sure that everyone knows this is available, because these windows are quick. They're not open for very long. If you not on top of it, you miss it. The other thing I think I said was I would also the recording of this session will be available too. So with that, I'm going to stop recording and wish you all a happy afternoon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.